Access granted.
God damn it. What the hell's the matter with this thing?
What did you say?
For Pete's sake! Oh, forget it.
Whippersnapper.
Hey! Somebody call security.
Viewer discretion is advised. Go where no man has gone before. It'll make your head spin. It'll knock your socks off.
Broadcasting live from 58 degree downtown Cleveland. It's station WDWL TV, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and an Oscar. And as we all know, if it's flashing, if the lights are flashing, it's Grumpy. And we're brought to you by whoever this guy is, Grumpy something Vulture Productions. Damn bird. So, are we feeling a bit better today? Although I think I inundated you with email again today. Oops. This tablet's acting up something fierce today.
Awkward.
Yeah, it is. Every time I open the program, it closes it. It's like, you ain't getting no sound effects today. Yeah, well, whatever it is, it'll probably take, unfortunately, after 50, it takes like twice as long to get over shit. And when you get to my age, it's like, whoa. Oh, I am so pissed off right now. Finally, after 7 voicemails and 6 emails, I get a response from this idiot attorney. And he tells me, I can't sign them. The corporation has to be reactivated, reinstated, and the administrator has to now become the president of the corporation. And, I wrote him back and I said, hey, why would Columbus say you are still legal to sign this title if you weren't? I said, you're really making this too difficult. If the state of Ohio says you are legal, then put your signature on 2 titles and let's get it over with. Oh, yeah, he sends me an email. I've been researching this, and, the corporation was dissolved 20 years ago, and I was only the agent on record for service, and I said, as far as the Title Bureau is concerned, you are a member of this company and you can sign this title. I said, it's been verified with Columbus. Why would the main bureau that calls all the shots for 88 counties tell me bullshit? I would think if any of the bureaus knew what they were talking about, it would be Columbus, the main, the one that issues orders to all 88 counties. I can see it. I'm going to have to spend $250, file a goddamn court order in order to get this fucking title. I haven't told Bill yet. Oh, he'll go off the deep end. I don't really understand what's going through this attorney's head. If the head of all 88 title bureaus says you are still the legal agent to sign off on these titles, why he's giving me bullshit? Because after I received that cocky bullshit email, I called the girl I have been dealing with at Parma. And I said, you have a couple of minutes. I got a 2-paragraph email to read to you. She says, sure, go ahead, read it. I get done reading it, and she goes, don't make any difference. We don't have... What he's saying does not need to be done. Her exact words. All he has to do is walk in here and put his signature on 2 titles. I notarize it, and he leaves. That's it. She goes, he's overthinking this. I said, I've been trying to tell him. I think what I'm going to do tomorrow is tell him to call her. And maybe if his 2 ears hear what she has to say, he'll finally show up. Oh, when I got back from going to the store, I usually go through my email 3-4 times a day. I see a response from this. I see his email address. I'm like, oh boy. Then I opened it and read it. And I said the same thing.
WTF?
Oh, yeah. I've been researching it, and basically the company has to be like reincorporated in good standing, and the administrator would be appointed the president of the corporation, who then would be authorized to... Oh. I wrote him back and I said, you're overthinking this. It's very simple. And I said, this comes direct from Columbus. You are still the agent. You are the surviving member of this company. You are authorized to sign these titles. Period. Here's my phone number. Fucking call me. Well, I just said call me. I really wanted to put in there fucking call me. Because I asked and I said, if I have to file this court order, how long is this going to take? And she said, well, anywhere from 2 to 4 months. I said, 4 months? That'll put us on a year. A year waiting to get a title for a goddamn $200 car. I even put that in my email to him. I'm going to be forced to spend $250 to get a title for a $200 car. Oh my God, that ruined my afternoon. It ruined my fucking afternoon. I'm going to have this guy fucking kidnapped and dragged in blindfolded. Even the girl at the title bureau said, oh my God, I can't believe this response. I said, well, you're getting it word for word. Even she said he's overthinking this. He's over-researching it. If the main, and this is the division that all 88 counties go to for answers. If the Maine in Columbus is saying, you can sign these titles, why is he overthinking it? Well, that's not a bad idea. Oh, yeah. You know what he specializes in? His specialty is patient abuse in nursing homes. That's what his specialty is. Now, he has done personal injury and, the whole gamut. But that's what he specializes in now. Elder abuse in nursing homes. I'm sure that keeps him real busy. Yeah, I'd like to see the look on his face when he get a small claims court for $250 plus cost. It's very simple. As a matter of fact, she told me, if the three of you can get together, you walk in. She said, come over to me and say, we're here. And she said, if I'm working with a customer, as soon as I finish, I will call you over. You don't have to take a number. You don't have to wait in line. And if anybody says anything, I will just say, they were here before, they had to come back with some more information. She says, I'll cover anybody in the crowd bitching. So we won't even have to wait. We walk in. She calls us up. Bill puts 2 titles on the counter. He signs them both. She notarizes them both. Bye, asshole, you're done. And he has got the strangest voicemail system. If you don't say the right word, it hangs up on you. Because I said, Grumpy calling regarding International Exotics Corporation. Hold on. Call disconnects. I call back. I says, Grumpy requesting to speak regarding a legal matter. Hold on. Disconnects. I call a third time. Grumpy wishing to make an appointment regarding a possible lawsuit. Hold on. If you wish to leave a voicemail at the tone, it's almost like calling AT&T. If you don't know the code word, you can't leave a voicemail message. And boy, I left an irate one today. That's probably why he emailed me and not called me. I think he's afraid to talk to me. Because it's really strange. I left an irate voicemail and all of a sudden I get an email. And then I like when I get these emails sent from my iPhone. Don't you have an office? Don't you have like a desktop computer where sent from my iPhone? Is that all anybody operates off of today? An iPhone? They don't have a formal office with a desktop computer and internet? Sent from my iPhone. Although I have noticed watching a lot, court videos, it seems like everybody keeps everything on their iPhone. What the hell would happen if you'd lose your phone? Well, everything's backed up in the cloud. Which one? That one. All right. Enough of my blood pressure raising conversation. Let's get on to sandwiches. Holy shit, in that video, I probably ate 75-80% of them sandwiches. And it's amazing how many no longer exist. Well, some of them exist in my household. One that my grandmother would make if she didn't have dessert. The sugar bread sandwich. A little butter, a little sugar. She'd pop a little cinnamon on. Here, have dessert. I remember eating tons of them because she only baked for special, like family dinners or, holidays. Otherwise, here, have a sugar bread sandwich. You tell kids that today, they're like, holy fuck, you were poor. No, it was good. Fresh white bread, some butter, some sugar, little dash of cinnamon. Almost as good as a Little Debbie snack cake. Well, no, I never ate any mayonnaise sandwiches. The banana sandwich, she would make that. The cucumber sandwiches, I had shitload of them. Apple butter, I'll tell you what. Apple butter is a staple in my house. There's a jar in my fridge right now. I love apple butter. Peanut butter and onion. My grandfather used to eat that. I didn't care for it. He would eat a peanut butter and onion sandwich. I remember my grandmother making them for him. I didn't care for it myself. Liverwurst and onion. Oh shit, we ate that all the time. That was a staple in my grandparents' house. Ate it all the time. Still eat it to this day. I love it. Fried bologna. I still eat it to this day. Matter of fact, I had some last week. Cream cheese and olive, I made some and ate it on my bagels. Pimento cheese, we already know that. There's a carton of that in the fridge right now. And, let's see, tongue. My father ate tongue. I tried it once, wasn't to my liking, but my father ate tongue sandwiches all the time. It stunk when he boiled that goddamn shit. Ah. Cold meatloaf, eat it to this day. Fried egg sandwich, eat it to this day. Now, my grandmother would make mashed potato sandwiches, but what she would do, any leftover mashed potatoes, she would make into patties, refrigerate them overnight to firm them up, and then she would fry them in butter and put them on a sandwich. I remember eating mashed potato sandwiches, but not like they showed in the video. Just spreading mashed potatoes on bread. No, that's not the way she did it. Tomato sandwiches, I eat them every summer. Love them. Nothing better than a nice, thick tomato slice. Oh. And, of course, an item that is always in my pantry. When I use this can, I immediately buy another one. I love this shit. And this is the stuff my father threw away once. I had to go out in the garbage can, dig the can out. Love it. I'll tell you what, I have eaten this more ways. Every combination you can think of. I love Spam. I'll take Spam and dice it up and put it in an omelet. I'll make Spam sandwiches. You name it. If there's a combination you can think of, I did go on the website, and I have a tentative order for Tabasco Spam, jalapeno Spam, and bacon Spam. Now, the Tabasco's called spicy. I bought matter of fact, I bought a whole box of singles at Dollar Tree. Right now, which one's out of stock? The jalapeno. So my order's on hold until they get the jalapeno back in stock. But you can order direct. Now, is this cold spaghetti noodles? Because I've done it with just cold spaghetti noodles. I put Hellmann's on the bread, spaghetti noodles, and make a sandwich that way. I'll tell you, nothing goes to waste in this house. If I have leftover, like spaghetti or macaroni, I'll figure a way to use it. With the sauce, I've never made a spaghetti sandwich with sauce. I'll have to try it. Because tonight I'm having a meatball sandwich. I bought a beautiful fresh baguette. And the meatballs just came out of the oven. So I will have sauce left over, and I've always got spaghetti in the pantry. I'll try it. What the hell? What have I got to lose? Anything's worth a try once. That's what my grandfather used to say. Try something once. If you don't like it, fine. But try it. And there were foods that I tried, I didn't care for, and he said, fine, you don't have to eat them. But, like he said, you don't know what something tastes like unless you taste it. I tried tongue. I didn't like it. My father ate it all. He loved tongue sandwiches. But I have had more goofy concoctions of sandwiches over the years. And like I say, growing up in the 50s and 60s, I ate probably 80% of the sandwiches that they showed in that video. Large sandwich, no. Mayonnaise sandwich, no. Mustard sandwich, no. Ketchup sandwich, no. My grandparents weren't that poor. Shit, egg salad. They you know, back in the Depression, you know, people ate egg salad. Well, it was mixed a little different, but they ate that shit 5-6 days a week because they had chickens. I would just say, I know where that came from. I saw that cow going, oh, God, yeah. in a pinch, in a heartbeat. American cheese, butter, sometimes mayo. Put a little Hellman's on, put a couple of slices of American cheese. Although and there's no real difference. I prefer white American. The only difference, and I was told this up at the butcher where I get my lunch meat. The only difference between white American and yellow American is they put paprika to color the cheese. That's the only difference. It's the same cheese. One is colored orange, one is pure white. I just like white American. I eat either one. I don't care. There basically isn't a cheese out there I don't like. And I have had all kinds of, because there was a big cheese shop at the West Side Market, and I used to get, I'd say, oh, okay, give me some American, give me some Swiss, a little Liederkranz, you know. I love cheese. Of course, you get to a certain age, and cheese will kind of back you up. You need a little dynamite to kind of open the digestive tract. I remember in the summer, eating a shitload of cucumber sandwiches. And my grandmother would make them with just plain cucumber. Sometime it would be cucumber that was marinated in a dressing of some sort. Although we weren't the elite, you know, she didn't cut the crust off the bread, you know, I had to eat the crust. Well, unfortunately, a lot of the old world cheeses taste different today because the goddamn government sticks their nose in how the cheese is made and cured and aged. Yeah, I have noticed with certain cheeses, they're not like what I remember. And I've seen articles like blue cheese. You will not find a blue cheese today that tastes like it did 50 years ago. Because it has to conform to certain government regulations. And they stick their nose in everything and they ruin food. If it didn't kill people 100 years ago, it ain't going to kill them today. Leave shit alone. No, the old, you know, government got to stick their nose in everything. You know, one person ends up taking a dirt nap or eating blue cheese, and all of a sudden, the cheese is bad. Well, do you ever stop and think that maybe this person was maybe allergic to it? Or maybe it was blue cheese that had been around for a year? You know, like that, oh, I forgot to look that video up with that tea. I want to say sassafras. I'm probably wrong. But the government said that it was dangerous to drink whatever this red tea was. Well, the government testing equaled out to somebody drinking 80 cups a day for a year. Nobody drinks that much. But once the government does his test,
access denied.
I'm going to have to watch that video again, Kathy, because it was basically, I remember them saying they shaved, I thought they said a root, and boiled it. And instead of being brown like tea, it was red. And people drank it all the time. And I should have wrote it down, and I didn't. But, when the government does testing, they don't do realistic. Like when they did all the cigarette testing. It was comparable to somebody smoking a carton a day for a year. Who smokes a carton a day? But the government said, and we know cigarettes aren't the best for you. But, to tell me, oh, you're going to die from cigarette smoking because our test, well, yeah, your test showed somebody smoking a carton a day for a year. Yeah, you're going to have a little nicotine buildup. Government tests are asinine. Totally asinine. Because they go to such far extremes. I'm sure somewhere was a government test that said, Swiss cheese was bad for you. Well, the government test was probably somebody eating 50 pounds of Swiss cheese a day for a year. Yeah, after a while, you would need a lot of X-Lax in order to... yeah. That's the worst thing when they basically pay a university out of our tax dollars to test something and make it, your test better come out where this is a negative, or we're not going to give you another couple $1 million to do a test. Yeah. You talk about a chain smoker. Yeah. That's why he got the big C. But like he said, a lot of times he would light a cigarette, take like 2 drags, and have to put it down to read a script or something, and it would go out, burn out. I've wasted more cigarettes. I'll light one and put it in the ashtray, and I'll get to reading something, and when I look over, it's got 1 drag left on it, and it's down to the filter. Like he said, he went through 6 packs a day. He didn't physically smoke 6 because he did admit he wasted a lot. But he said he was a real chain smoker. Christ, he would no sooner put one out and he'd light another one. The worst thing for me is to sit here. Now, in the morning, I probably read 4 to 7 different news websites. And what I will do is I will light a cigarette and something will catch my eye and I'll start reading and I look over in the ashtray and I'm like, oh shit. I waste more just them burning out in the ashtray than smoking them. And I'm the first to admit it. Because, like I say, I'll light one, I'll take a puff or two, and I'll be reading, look over and go, shit, get 2 drags left and have to put it out. Back in the day, like when I was working, I would light one and smoke a whole cigarette because 90% of the time it was always in your mouth. Like if I'd be walking through the body shop, checking jobs out, talking to body men, talking to the painters, see what we needed, the cigarette would be dangling out of my mouth. Nowadays with computers, like you say, I light one up, put it down, look over and there's 2 puffs left on it. I mean, even Marianne, same thing. She said, a while back when we were talking about, because she started smoking again, she goes, I waste more. Because, like I said, she translates contracts from Japanese into English, English to Japanese, Chinese to English, English to Chinese. And she'll start reading a paragraph in a contract, and she'll put the cigarette down, and by the time she goes back to it, it's burned down to the filter just about. Because her and I smoked the same thing. Good old LD. Because they're inexpensive. Cheap. But if you read any government testing, it's ridiculous. the way they test foods, you wouldn't eat anything. You know, they'd say, oh, cornflakes are bad for you. Yeah, their test equals out to somebody eating 5 boxes of cornflakes a day for a year. After a while, yeah. Well, maybe not cornflakes. But, I mean, that's the way their testing goes. You know, like when they said, oh, smoking causes cancer in rats. Well, how many rats do you see running through the neighborhood with a cigarette in their mouth? They had the rat bolted down, and they had the goddamn cigarette machine going in and out of its mouth constantly. I have yet to see a rat running through the neighborhood bumming a smoke off anybody. Hey, you got a smoke? Hey, you're going to get cancer from that. And they showed the tests. And like the one where they showed the mice getting cancerous tumors. Well, shit, they were painting fucking raw nicotine all over them daily. Yeah, after a while, it's going to kind of irritate the skin. Well, yeah, that's another government bullshit thing. You have to put this in, you have to put that in, but I'm not sure if every cigarette has to have them additives in the tobacco. Because I'll tell you what, smoke a non-filter Camel, boy, it'll put you on your ass. But you look at any government test. Look at the crash tests. I mean, yeah, there are a certain amount of accidents that would happen in a strange way. But how many cars do you see skidding sideways to an abutment so that it hits directly on the A pillar? When they do the crash test, they have a perfectly, you know, it's mounted on a car frame. It's about this thick, and they mount it on the front of the frame, and then they run that frame at 50 miles an hour, and, you know, it folds up the front end of... All the cars nowadays are so swoopy, they go underneath one another. You don't have collisions like they do in the crash test. If you take a look at a lot of rear-end collisions, the car in the front is on the hood of the one in the back because everything's like a doorstop nowadays. The car nosedives, slides under the back bumper. To me, my opinion, crumple zones are good and bad. because the crumple zone, sure, it collapses and it absorbs the inertia. It also makes a car total easier. It is amazing how many really, and I was in the body business for 20 some years. I see car carriers go by with totaled cars that to me are repairable. Except cars where all the airbags are detonated. A while back, I stopped and I was looking at some rebuildables. Now, I don't have the facilities to rebuild a wreck. But there were a couple of cars I looked at where a quarter panel was caved in that didn't affect the drivability of the car. And the thing was a total. I'd have banged that quarter panel out with a hammer, put some primer on it, and driven it. Oh, yeah. The airbag will save you. It'll burn your face. I have seen people with burnt faces from airbags. I had a car come in. It ended up a total. But when the airbag and the steering wheel detonated, the women's lipstick prints were in the airbag like she kissed it. And I cut the airbag out of the steering wheel and I hung it in my office. And people will be like, "What's that?" I said, "Well, it's an airbag." And the woman kissed it. "Really?" I said, "Well, she kissed it when it blew up in her face." And she came in and her face had first degree burn. Oh, her face was red as hell. And I showed her the airbag in the car and I said, "Yeah," I said, because she had just left the house and put on her lipstick and her lip prints were perfect in that airbag. And I had it hanging in my office for the longest time. I think when I left, it was still hanging there. Oh, yeah, that's a proven fact. Because so many of these cars nowadays have so much fiberglass and plastic that, yeah, the stuff breaks. You get stabbed with it. Everything is cheaper, lighter, cheaper, lighter, cheaper, lighter, except the price goes up. That's like my sister. Now, she builds engines at the Ford plant in Brook Park. She said it is amazing to see how much ABS plastic is in an engine. Back in the day, intake manifolds were cast. Now they're plastic. She said it's unbelievable that these things run because there's so much plastic in an engine. The life of your car I can't remember she was working on the V6 line. And the previous engines that they built had aluminum intakes. She said the same engine for 2026, plastic. Because when the first engines come down the line, everybody was questioning, are these the right parts? And they were like, yeah, why? Well, this is plastic. Yeah, it's the new intake manifold. Just put it on the engine and let the line go. And I have heard from mechanics that 90% of the time, if you got to pull an intake manifold, it'll break, forcing you to buy a new one. Ryan, I talked to Ryan about it. He said very rarely can you get a plastic intake off without breaking it. And then you're forced to go buy a new one. Planned obsolescence. And the factory really don't want you working on your car. They want to keep that dealer in business. Because the dealer don't make the money selling the car. They make the money after the sale. So they want to keep that service department going. And they want to keep their parts department in business. So here's a mechanic got to tear down an engine. Try to get the intake off, breaks. Okay, parts department, give me a new one. And the poor customer suffers. There are, I can't remember what car, whether it's a Kia or a Mazda or what. Some of them are using plastic turbochargers. There ain't no way you're going to get 100,000 miles out of a plastic turbocharger. I looked at the one on the Volkswagen. It's cast. I mean, you open a hood, engines don't even look like engines. You know, give me a good old carburetor and plugs and points and condenser. That would be cars from the 60s. Maybe a little into the 70s. But nowadays, well, like the Passat. You know, I'm used to seeing spark plug wires go into a coil. No. The coil is now on top of the spark plug. Where the hell did I put them? Because I changed them when I had the thing tuned up. But basically, it's a black box with a long tube that goes down, and the spark plugs are like, holy shit, they're like down in the crankcase. And this device goes down, sits on top of the spark plug, and you plug in a connector, and the coil is right there. Each spark plug has its own coil now. You take that big chunk of plastic off the engine they call a beauty cover, and it's the strangest looking. That's why I had to immediately go out and buy a Chilton's manual just to recognize some of the shit that's on this motor. And after Saturday, I'm either ordering a Chilton's manual for the Corvette or I'm waving goodbye to it. Everybody tells me I should have my ass kicked for even thinking about buying that car, but to me, I think it was bought to do a quick flip. First of all, Jim didn't buy anything that didn't run. It may not run great, but he didn't buy anything that didn't run. So we know at one time the Corvette did run. I still think, and I'm sure this car might prove me wrong, I think he bought it looking as shabby as it does to give it a liquid overhaul, put some lipstick on a pig, and flip it. I really do. I hope the car don't prove me wrong. Like I say, I already know I got to drain the gas tank, blow out the fuel lines, change a fuel filter, put new plugs in it, and hopefully it'll fire and run. And then I'll have to work on the brakes because I'm sure all the calipers are froze up. But sometimes it don't take much to unfreeze a caliper. I'm really praying that it won't take much to get this thing on the road. Because then I will have a vehicle with legal license plates. I only need that car to take me, 4 blocks this way and 10 blocks that way. I'm not planning on going cross country. So, Kathy, you don't have to worry. You won't see an 87 Corvette convertible pulling in your driveway. Unless it comes in on a flatbed. Boy, that'd be scary. I can see Kathy looking out their window. Convertible Corvette pull in with some asshole waving. Right about then, there'd be a couple of gunshots go right over the top of the windshield. Whoop, sorry, wrong driveway. It's in reverse, don't worry. Even if I had that thing in tip-top condition, I wouldn't chance driving that 400 or 500 miles. No way. That car would have to be fully restored before I would trust it going any distance. But if I can get lucky and get it on the road at minimal expense, I only need to go 4 blocks that way and 10 blocks that way, about 6 blocks to Dollar Tree. That's all I need. And pray that the heater works. Because I'm a freeze baby. Although I'll tell you what, it's getting to the point that goddamn Passat is like driving a toaster. Jesus Christ. I got to get the windows fixed. God, freeze baby, but I'm roasting my ass off the other day. I mean, I have everything to repair that window. But it has to go to a glass service. I already talked to the glass service. They gave me a price. They said, all you got to do is call for an appointment. But I can't drive there because it's right in the heart of Parma. In the meantime, it's like driving a toaster. I totally understand what it feels like when some idiot leaves either their animal or their kid in a closed up car. When I got ready to leave Mark's the other day, I opened both doors on the driver's side to let the heat out. When it was comfortable, I started to drive home. I got halfway home and I was sweating my ass off because that car heated up so fast. And I could totally understand what happens when some idiot will leave their animal or their kid inside of an oven. Because by the time I got home, I was having a little bit of problem breathing. Because it was so goddamn hot inside that car. And I got the slider closed for the sunroof. Could you imagine if I had that thing open? Have that sun beating down? I was anticipating putting a new motor in the sunroof. But you know, right now, it's sealed shut and it's not leaking. Leave well enough alone. Because there's a possibility, if I fixed it, it might leak. And I'll tell you what, I feel I lucked out. Because that car sat for 4 years with that sunroof half open. And it amazed me I was able to, I pulled the seats and I took the carpet out and I had the carpet in the sun. And it really amazed me that the floor wasn't rusty and the wiring wasn't fucked up. So I put the carpeting back in Febreze the shit out of the interior. I got that sunroof closed. Now, I did vacuum the channels very well, lubricated them. I cranked that sunroof shut, and it did not leak. And I lucked out there. Same thing with the window in the right rear door. That window was down halfway for 4 years. The motor, I pulled the motor out, I pushed the glass up, and I pinned that window shut. I'm not going to have it fixed. All I want is the 2 front door windows to work. That's all I want. The back ones, screw it. Because if I can put 2 windows down, I got enough air circulation. I might have Ryan check out the air conditioning system and see if it'll hold Freon. If it will, then fine, I got AC. But I totally understand what it's like in a closed vehicle in the sun. And I think anybody, especially people with animals or young kids, should experience how rapid the temperature will climb in a car in the sun. And then maybe they will think twice about doing the stupid shit that they do. Because cracking a window like that, don't do it. That's my safety lecture for the day. I could not believe how hot that car got in that short drive. I mean, I'm not talking an hour. Oh, you read them stories constantly, Kathy. It's sad. A matter of fact, there was an interrogation video I watched, and this guy leaves the house with his son in the back. I can't remember how old he was. He was going to daycare. He drives to work, and he forgets that the baby is in the back seat. And he comes out of work at the end of his day and finds the kid cooked, basically. And his excuse was, gee, the kid didn't cry or make a noise. Don't you have one of them things on your windshield that you look in that looks out the back of the car? Don't you look in that and go, oh shit, there's a baby in the back seat? How can you forget? Don't you look in your mirror? If you look in your mirror before you get out of the car, you're going to see a baby seat. Isn't it going to dawn on you like, uh-oh, I forgot to drop him at daycare? How people can get out of a car and not look? Maybe it's me. I don't have anything in my back seat. Before I get out of my car, I look in my rearview mirror. It's been a habit since 1985 when my kid was born. I do it constantly. I get in, I look in the rearview mirror. I know there's nothing back there but an empty seat. I go to the store. Before I get out of the car, I look in the rearview mirror. There ain't nothing back there but an empty seat. It's ingrained in me. How people... Well, I know why. I know why. It's this. They will look at this. They won't look in the mirror. Yeah, but see, Kathy, you do that because you drove a bus. And you don't even have to think. You automatically look in that mirror. Because from years of driving that bus and knowing that you have to do an inspection of every inch of that interior. It's ingrained in you. You don't even think. It's just automatic reflex, like blinking your eyes. I used to put my briefcase in the back seat. Because that way, if I would forget to drop my son at daycare, I had to get that briefcase. Because all my paperwork was in that briefcase for the body shop. That was another thing that made me look in the back seat. It would have been very easy to put it on the front seat because nobody was there. No, I put him on the right rear and I put my briefcase on the left rear. And I knew I had to open the door to get my briefcase. But there wasn't one time I forgot to drop him at daycare because I was used to looking in the rearview mirror. Yeah, a lot of times kids will immediately go into a deep sleep in a moving vehicle. If we couldn't get him to go to sleep, there were many times at 2 in the morning I was driving around the block. And once he fell asleep, we could get him in the house, into bed, without waking him. And to this day, when I get in, I look in my rearview mirror. When I get out, I look in my rearview mirror, and I have no need to, because there is not a child or an animal in my car. But people today are so glued to their cell phones that if that kid falls asleep and they're reading a text message, they're going to get out of the car, lock the door, walk away. Because it's a proven fact, 90% of the time, in a moving vehicle, a kid will fall asleep. It's like a rocking chair. Now, once they get older, you know, they're talking, but even older kids fall asleep. There is no excuse for leaving a breathing thing, whether it be an animal or a kid, in a car. And these assholes that go, oh, I only ran in the store for 2 minutes. No, you weren't there 2 minutes. Maybe 20. Because I'll tell you, nothing pisses me off more than to go up to Mark's or go to Save-A-Lot or go to Dollar Tree and somebody have a dog in the car. I used to go in the store and say, hey, who's got the car with the dog in it? Something wrong? Yeah, you left your dog in the car with the windows rolled up. That's what's wrong. Well, you don't have to yell. Yeah, I want the whole store to hear what an asshole you are. Put all 4 windows down, 4 inches, 6 inches. Let airflow go through the vehicle. Your big Alaskan Husky ain't going to jump out of a window down 4 or 6 inches. I don't do it anymore because you never know when somebody's got a boom boom in their person. And I don't look good air conditioned. I get infuriated when I walk through a parking lot a couple weeks ago. There was a car, had a bunch of kids in it. Now, the windows were cracked. But even so, you don't go in a store and leave your kids in the car. People are just, if you're going to be that way, don't have kids. If you're going to be that neglectful, don't have kids or animals. But that's just my opinion. I get in. If I walk by a car and there's an animal in it, I like to break a window myself. I used to actually stand and wait for people to come out. I quit doing that too. But I would literally go in the store and yell, "Who's got the car with the dog in it out there?" People come running. "Whoa, what's wrong? You left your car with the windows up with your animal in it." If you think that much about that animal, first of all, leave it home. Or if you're going to leave it in the car, put the windows down 4 or 5 inches. Give it some air. But you don't know what people are like nowadays. I'm not going to get myself air conditioned over an animal. But it's sad. It's really sad. Where people think that much of their kids and their animals that they'll give them everything on earth, but they'll suffocate them in a car. Just another thing, get my blood pressure up. You don't leave any breathing thing in a closed up vehicle that will turn into an oven in less than 10 minutes. Like I say, any person that has an animal or kids should be locked in a car in the sun for 10, 15 minutes. And then they will realize, holy shit, this thing turns into a goddamn bakery oven. Yeah. Maybe it's because I care too much about animals. I think more about animals than people. Oh, right on cue. I'm talking about animals and you prance in the door. I didn't even say your name. Oh, God, don't give me the sad eyes. Feed me. He was a riot today. I walked past the bedroom. He's on his back, and he's got his 2 feet over his face, covering his eyes. I looked and I was like, yeah, both feet over his face, covering his eyes, laying on his back feet pointing in the air. You think you're human. I wish I could break him of laying sideways at night. He used to lay right next to me. Now, he will come in and give me my massage, and then he gets up and lays sideways. And he always puts his back feet in my rib cage, and then he'll stretch. You know I'm talking about you. Yeah. Feed me. Cut the bullshit. I'm hungry. All right. I hear you. I see you. You're hard to miss.
That's it. I'm through.
All right, everybody. I have to feed Jabba the gut here. All right. Thanks for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. We know we're right here, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and an Oscar and a can of Spam. All right, people. Take care. See you tomorrow night.